and you told us you need to build more reels, like you do the 10 reels challenge. And I don't know if I did 10, but I definitely invested on reels, and it helped a lot because I saw that I continued growing organically, while a lot of people that have not done reels, even if they have like 150,000 followers, their engagement has gone down massively. So, these kind of tips are super useful. And then some of the tips that you post on your also on your social are very useful for me, also build my self-confidence. Like, don't give up.
Hey, I'm Graham Farmer, founder of the dance music magazine Data Transmission and Twitch partner, streaming on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays from 1 p.m. On this channel, we share the full interviews from my Twitch streams. But before we jump into this interview, if you can help this video get more reach by giving it a like and a comment, it'd be most appreciated. And don't forget to consider subscribing so you always get notified when we drop new interviews. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. Happy to be here in this shed, this very like a virtual shed with you.
It's good, isn't it? Do you like my disco shed? It's great to have you here.
It's great for me too.
How was your weekend, first and foremost?
Well, my weekend was great. I was actually in London. Yes, I just flew back last night. I came to London to play at Coco. So I came last night and it was very nice, very fun, also very intense because I used to live in London for like 10 years. So I had to go and meet all the people that I haven't seen in a long time. And I also had the brilliant idea of bringing my daughter with me. So on top of that, I had to like travel with my daughter and bring her to Hamleys, all of those kind of things with kids related. But yes, I just had a brilliant weekend. So I'm here back in Milan now.
Amazing. Oh man, traveling with your daughter and gigs and late night. Oh my days.
Yes.
Are you crazy?
I was actually asking myself, why did I do that? But yes, I have to say she had a great time. So I wanted to test this kind of, traveling for gigs with my daughter, and it worked well. Let's see how tired I'm going to be in a couple of days. So far, I'm surviving.
Yeah, and I guess it's back to work for you today as well, that's holy moly. I don't know how you're balancing it all.
Yeah, well, that helps to the fact that I'm working remotely, but yes, I'm good. I'm used to that, to never stopping. I just go with the flow and live life at the fullest. So yeah.
Good. Before we get into the serious stuff, on my Twitch channel, in my Disco shed, we have a tradition now of, I don't even know where it started, but basically we want to know, obviously it's lunchtime. We talk about, in the UK, as you know, you actually said you lived there for 10 years. We have the thing called a meal deal. And it's usually from one of the big supermarkets. You get a kind of sandwich, something and something. Mine have definitely changed over the last, it used to be the kind of triple breakfast, big, horrible, big thumping sandwich with a big crisp and a big... Do you know what? I used to have the smoothie, and they're so bad for you. They say they're good for you, but there's so much sugar in them, and they're so bad for you. So I thought I'd ask you, what is your kind of either lunchtime meal deal or lunchtime as... Like if you had a favourite when you were in London?
Well, we don't have the meal deals, at least not that I'm aware of. But I'm lucky enough to have a very nice market under my house. I went there early this morning after I dropped my daughter at school, and I just picked up some fresh food and some Italian stuff like fresh pasta and all of that. And it's actually 2 p.m. here, so I had lunch earlier here at home. So I just made some pasta. That's what I normally eat. So I'm lucky enough to be Italian and to be making pasta and eating pasta most of the time. So that's my meal deal for today.
Nice. Oh, that sounds lush. Lush. That sounds lush.
Very healthy, I know.
Supermarket. Wow. Homemade pasta. Oh, that sounds well lush. So for those who don't know who you are, I thought I'd just give you get you to give us a little rundown of you and kind of how we got together, how we kind of got to where you are now, and just kind of a little brief overview of yourself.
Yes. Okay. So maybe a question for those who are following. Where do you think I'm from, given the strong accent?
Yeah.
Well, I'm Italian, so I'm from Milan. I'm here in Milan now because that's my hometown, and I came back here 3 years ago. But I hide behind a Serbian artist name because actually, yes, 2 reasons. First reason is because my Italian name rhymes, the real name, and I didn't want to have a funny DJ name, so I decided to opt for an artist name. And secondly, because my husband is Serbian, and I kind of dedicated my DJ name to him. It was sounding very nice together, Cristina Lazic. So I am a DJ that has been around for like 5 years. I actually started playing during my maternity. I was looking for a hobby to get some me time and to just, take away my mind from, nappies, milk and all of that. And actually, when I was looking for a hobby, this friend of my husband, whose name is Mina Lazic, they're not relatives, she reached out to me and she told me, "Hey, Cristina, I know you love electronic music. I'm starting a DJ course. Why don't you come with me to do it? I think you would love it." And I finally found another DJ course because I was breastfeeding and that course was not close enough to my house. But then that's how it started. I basically started this DJ course, and long story short, I've always loved music and I've always loved electronic music. And I saw that that's something that I really, really liked. So when I had to go back to full-time work after the maternity, I decided to not give up on music and actually to push as much as I could on that. And 5 years after, I'm here with some music that is released, some international gigs, and me doing 2 parallel careers and trying to survive among it all. So
and being a mum. Oh, that's three. Actually, 3 parallel careers. Yeah. Not working and being a parent. That's 2. Let's put in 3, man.
Yeah.
That's it. I didn't know that. That's incredible. I thought I knew lots about you. That's incredible. Holy moly. Wow.
Yeah, I don't like to do easy things. I always like to overcomplicate my life. So that's I'm the master of this. My husband is always telling me why you need to complicate things. And it's true. I like to complicate things.
So you did a DJ course, wicked. Is that still running? Is it still a thing that you can do? Should we give them a shout?
There is a school in London. I actually found it via a Google search because as the DJ course of my friend was too far away, I was looking for a more flexible option. I didn't want to have to commit to a course for X months. I was looking for something that adapt to my crazy schedule of a new mother. So I found this place called Become a DJ on Google Maps. Yeah, the studios of Mantas. I don't know if you know him, but
I do.
Okay, great. And it was amazing because he actually interviewed me before starting the course, and he must have got really surprised that a mother came there almost with the kid, in my arms. And I told him, "Listen, I know it sounds, probably crazy, but I really love electronic music and I want to do this." And so he said, "Okay, let's do lessons together." And it was great because since the beginning, he was really, really obsessed about the methodology in practicing and learning. So he would always cover the BPMs, do everything by ear, and teach me every lesson a different thing to be able to be, properly mixing at the end of, say, 10 lessons. So 6 months after, I was already having my first gig. And I think it was good. So that's how things started. Yeah.
That's wicked. Yeah, I know they Become a DJ. That's cool. I know those guys. That's very cool. Let's give them a shout for sure. So, okay, so you started DJing 5 years ago. And then when did you, let's go back a little bit further. When did you start listening to electronic music? Like what kind of got you in? Let's talk about that.
Yes. I mean, I don't know when I started because I think I started too early in my life. I've always loved electronic music. I've always been loving to go clubbing, to discover new music, electronic music. I've always been the one that remembered all the DJs, all the names of the tracks since when I was very young. So I don't know when is the first time that, for example, I went to a festival or a club, but I can tell you that, for example, I went to Sonar before Off Sonar existed, for example. I think I was 17 or 18, yeah. And I've always loved electronic music. And I don't know, for example, while I was writing my dissertation during my master's, I would write while listening to electronic music. It's something that has always accompanied my life and I've always loved. So I'm just a big fan of electronic music. Of course, I have some DJs and some producers that are, my favorite. For example, when I was younger, I would listen to Chemical Brothers, Paul Kalkbrenner, this kind of DJs, and then I grew up and built my kind of taste, which is constantly evolving. So now I'm more into that kind of minimal house vibe with a bit of melodic influence. But yes, I would say that I develop my own sound as well now.
And I'm right in saying you learned piano when you were younger as well. Was that kind of?
Yes, of course. Yes, that's an important thing. Actually, my grandmother was a piano teacher. So, yes. So my parents would basically drop me and my siblings at my grandparents' place because they had to work. And my grandmother was giving me lessons. But I was a rebel. Like, I never wanted to learn to read scores. I was doing everything with my ear. So I was like taking, learning music, and I was like transposing it into other, keys, whatever. And then I continued studying the piano. And so music has always been with me, also the classical side. So I have it, I think, everyone should like, whatever they want. And I like, of course, electronic music, but also classical. Also, I like a lot the Brit pop vibe as well, by the way.
Yeah, I love it. I love Britpop. I love it.
Yes, I grew up also with that. And I love, of course, a lot of Italian singer-songwriters that are pretty famous in Italy, maybe not so much abroad. So, I really grew up with music, and I always wanted to work with something that was related to music. So actually, when I finished my undergraduate studies, I worked for 3 years in music publishing here in Italy. Mm-hmm. And prior to that, I did an internship in Miami at EMI, that doesn't exist anymore. Publishing, So I always knew that I wanted to do something related to music. And then, I went through a variety of phases. When I was like in high school, I was making CDs for everyone. So I was like the DJ making CDs. Then Spotify came, and I became the one that, people were getting married, and they would ask me, can you build us a Spotify playlist for the dinner, a Spotify playlist for the party, a Spotify playlist for the cocktail, whatever. So I've been through a variety of phases where I had to always be the one among my circle of friends to create the music vibe. And that's why I think that it came naturally to eventually become a DJ in a more professional way, because I like to, I can understand the vibe that people want, and I enjoy to do that.
I love that. I love that kind of the crossover you're saying about Spotify playlists. I definitely think there is a DJing especially DJing on your Spotify playlist and curating it is definitely an art, and it's the art that comes from that kind of mix CD, and this is now making those special playlists, and that's I love that kind of. And I when you see people are like, oh, I don't get Spotify, or DJs that are going, I don't get Spotify, I don't know why I should be on there, and they're like, well, why you've got that ability to essentially make this playlist, but it's just DJing. It's just essentially just choosing records, like you're saying, that really move people.
Yes, and lately I've been involved we're going to probably talk about it, but I've been involved in a few projects. For example, in Ibiza, I have been playing at this restaurant called Leila, which was the pre-party for the party at High Ibiza, where I've been playing in the summer. And there I was asked to do a kind of an experimental set. And I really, really enjoyed digging into a type of music that is different from what I would play in the club. And I also like to do more research type of sets, for example, for my, SoundCloud sets. So I really like to, depending on the occasion, to also go, away from what I would normally play in a club and really, be more of a selector in that sense.
Right. So you started DJing 5 years ago during maternity. I still can't believe that. During maternity. That's fucking. That whole period of maternity, that's hard work. And then it's like, I'll just throw in some extra. Flipping hell. So then when it came out of maternity, when did you start producing, and how did that did you do another course? How did that come about?
Yeah. So basically, remember that I think it was 2018 or 2019, my husband gave me as a present for our anniversary, Ableton and Ableton Push. And he told me, I think that, you are very creative. That could be the next thing, production. But then I didn't have the physical time because, as you can imagine, I was already pretty busy with my job and the daughter and whatever. And by the way, we also moved to Italy in the meantime. So the move took a lot of energy. But then COVID came. So COVID came, and as you know, in Italy, we had very, very strict lockdowns. So from one day to the other, we were locked in our houses for 2 months. So I decided that this was the right opportunity, even if it was still very mental days, to invest that time that I would normally invest in, preparing gigs or traveling, because I was also traveling a lot with my full-time job, into something else. So I took out my Ableton Push and I opened Ableton on my computer, and I found this guy, this producer that gave me remote lessons. So I kind of learned the basics of Ableton, and then I looked for a lot of tutorials, and I contacted also some producers that I like, and I asked if they wanted to give me some one-to-one lessons. So I, invested a lot of time into learning how to produce. And then I started also throwing some ideas out there. And then slowly, I started, improving on production. And after, almost a year, I had released my first track. And then things started going better and better. I've become, better and faster at producing. And now I also do that, regularly. So I added that to my list of responsibilities, and I really enjoy it. And I have to say that I'm thankful, despite COVID being horrible, I am thankful that this happened, because it allowed me to really find the time to do it, and also the energy, because I thought now music was totally stopped, and I was like, I need to do something to improve my profile and to become more of a complete artist. And that can be coming by, essentially mainly producing, but also I invested a lot into better communicating myself, and that's why we had your course together, and doing a lot of content on social media and all of that. So these are the two areas where I worked on in 2020, and the effects are, the positive effects of that are coming since last year, really.
That's wicked. That's really cool. So you balance your time really well, and you, like you're saying, you found this space in your time. Do you do anything that's specific when you're managing your time, or do you have ways that you manage your time? Because I know I have mine, and you know mine, because I've put them through my course. But how do you do it, or do you do it differently?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I relax very little. So it means that I wake up. Yeah, long story short, I wake up early in the morning, I bring my daughter at school, and then I come back home and I do all my calls and anything that is related to my full-time job. And then in the evening, I spend my time with my daughter, then I put her to sleep. And then every night, no matter what, I dedicate my night to music. So whenever I meet friends and they ask me, have you watched that Netflix series? Like, no. Like, honestly, no. I don't watch TV. I don't watch Netflix, because every night I invest my time into music, whether it's the night where I'm digging new music or producing or, I don't know, supporting a release plan or whatever. I always do music related stuff in the evening. So I'm very organized and very committed as well. And I sleep less than normal people, probably. Like, I would go to sleep at 12, not earlier than 12:30 every night. Yeah. But I still get 7 hours of sleep. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. I
That's
wake
cool.
up at 7:30. Yeah. But let's say that during those hours that I'm awake, I don't, I'm always focused on something, but for me, music is really a pleasure. So it doesn't make me feel, overwhelmed or too tired. And actually, when I do my gigs, then I'm very happy, because I get a lot of energy from playing music and getting the energy back from the crowd. So that's how I manage my time for now. Let's see.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. That's cool. Yeah. I'm I start earlier, but then I finish earlier than you. So yeah, that's about the same as me. So that's all good. So cool. So then you had your first release in August 2020. Was that right?
Well, my very first release was a very minor one, which happened in December 2020. There was a few, like I would say, not even a year after I started all the production thing. It was a release that I did with a smaller label, but I wanted to build that kind of presence on Beatport and to start to know the world of, that world of releases. And then I started really focusing on production. And in 2021, I would say around May, June, I had a list of tracks that I started sending out as demos. And one of these was liked by the A&R of Crosstown Rebels. So what happened, I tell you the story. I posted a story on Instagram of me listening to on SoundCloud one of these tracks. And this guy that I didn't know answers and tells me, I'm listening to it right now. And I'm like, how can you listen to this track? Who sent it to you? And he told me, I am the A&R of Crosstown Rebels. And I had sent my music to the generic email address of Crosstown a couple of months before. So that was a big surprise. And then a week after, yes, imagine my face. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And then 1 week after, basically, Damian Lazarus followed me on Instagram. And he just sent me a screenshot of that track with the kind of, space shuttles, like, yeah, good job, kind of. And then things started happening. So I released one track in a various artist release on Rebellion, the sister label of Crosstown. And then I started also placing other tracks with other labels. I released 2 more EPs on Rebellion. And here I am.
Wicked. Well, cool. Yeah. Firstly, I'm glad to hear that a demos email actually works. That's incredible. And that people actually listen to demos emails. So that's amazing.
Yes, I want to believe, and that's really what I think, that the universe listened to me, because someone must have seen the effort I was doing in the last 5 years of really working non-stop towards music. And I really think that the universe conspired, as the Alchemist, one of my favorite books, says, the universe conspired to make it happen. So and that's also the way in which I initially entered into my tech career. When I got the job at Apple, I applied online with the standard CV being uploaded. So I think that things can happen also like that. They also happen with the connection, but they can also happen like that.
I love that. I love that. I love that I've worked really hard and the universe just made it happen for me. I love that. I often think the same time. I often think the same. I'm like, I'm just going to work as hard as I possibly can, and the universe will just sort shit out for me.
But I really think that it's like that.
Yeah.
If you work hard, eventually, maybe not immediately, but if you don't give up, eventually it comes.
Obviously, at the beginning of 2021, we started working together. You joined the Artist Blueprint on my first ever version of the Artist Blueprint. And thank you very much for joining us. And I was just going to ask, do you remember what your motivation was for joining it? And let's talk about that just quickly.
Yeah, of course. I joined the course. I remember we had a call before me joining officially the course, because I was in that moment where I was like, I am a bit stuck. I think I'm doing things properly, but I don't see a proper growth. Bookings are not there. I don't know exactly what is my path, how to communicate what I do well. I do marketing, so I think that I have some basics of communication and marketing. So that clearly helps, but I still needed some motivation, some understanding of how some things work. And that's why I reached out to you. And I think it was super, super useful to do the course. First of all, because I met a lot of interesting people. And I saw that I was not alone. The feelings that I have are the feelings that many people have. So many people need a boost. Could be just, from a technical perspective, from a process perspective, or just a psychological perspective. And so I found that kind of a safe space in the course, like people in my same condition that needed to support each other. So that's something that I really enjoyed. But then, of course, I also learned a lot of things. You showed us, for example, how to post content on socials and how to build a kind of a matrix of different type of content based on themes, which I applied, and it worked very well. You showed us how to submit demos to labels, and of course, I followed.
Yay!
So, very, very useful course from a practical perspective, but also psychological perspective. And I like how we all keep in touch and we all support each other. And I like to see, sometimes I post and I see some people from the group commenting, and I do the same. It's nice.
It's a nice little community, isn't it? It's really growing. Yes. It's a lovely little community that's got going now. And there are loads of them in the chat coming to speak to watch you today as well, which is lovely. Yeah. Thank you, course members. Okay. So then Damian picked up the first track which was on Rebellion, which is called Leap Year. We're going to listen to that track. Should we ever listen to it? And then you can tell us about it. Should we do that?
Of course.
go. That was absolutely lovely. So tell us about that. So that was the first one that was on Rebellion.
So yes, I produced this track. I mean, I started producing it in the Alps. So I remember it was, it was winter. It was end of the winter, around February, March, and it was a very snowy day. And I remember my husband was playing with my daughter, and I was like, I need to focus on production. And I started, yeah. I mean, my husband is very patient. That's why I gave him, the DJ name is dedicated to him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just got in the mood of producing this track. I normally produce tracks starting with synths that repeat and become pretty monotonous, but they give it that kind of atmosphere. And then I normally, of course, add the main drum elements. And after, I use a lot of MIDIs for creating bass lines, pads, all of that. So my music is in between minimal and melodic, because there are all these melodies that I like to create on MIDIs. I really enjoy doing that. By the way, I didn't tell you, but I was also producing music when I was a teenager. It's music you don't want to hear because it's pop music, but I really always have had this thing of liking to, write music. Before I was using the piano, and now I'm using Ableton. So so that's how this track was made. And then I added a couple of samples, the vocals you may hear. I used the vocoder, I used some effects, and then this is the final result.
Love it.
That was the first one that kind of had a good answer from people. And then there have been a few other releases that have happened since then, because that happened almost a year ago. I remember it was 8th of October last year. So almost gone by. And in the meantime, I've released 3 EPs and one remix. One more is coming next week, and another single release. So, I mean, I have to say that it's been pretty active the last year.
Yeah, nice. Nice. It has been. I was just doing a quick scan to see if I can see. Yeah, I uploaded the premiere 1 year ago. Literally 1 year ago. That's mental.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good timing. Wow, cool. Yeah. So that track came out, and then can we just sort of talk about kind of what kind of you pushed on from, maybe took from the course, and you kind of pushed on from the course that you used to push that, and kind of then took on how you then took a bit further on from that.
Yes, well, for example, I remember you told us clearly reels were not so much of a thing at the time as they are now. Yeah, but I'm kind of focusing a lot on Instagram, and I applied that rule that I learned from the course, that you should focus mainly on one social and do it well. So I thought Instagram should be the one, because I have a good follower base, and I can, I know this social quite well. So I focused on that for this release. And I remember that I made a video of me like showing how the track was at, number X in the chart, and how to help me to bring it up. And I made it kind of fun, and that got a lot of engagement. And then I posted a picture, because at the time it was also useful to alternate video content and static content. So a picture of me just holding a kind of piece of paper with number 4 or number 5, because I was in
I remember that.
5. Yeah.
I remember that.
They got a lot of engagement. So all these ideas, they came thanks to the course, because you were telling us in what way you could make it more engaging. And you were also telling us, don't be afraid of the judgment of others. I'm always scared of posting things and people will think, why is she doing that? But actually people like it. So now I'm less scared of posting. One other thing you told us was, show yourself playing, and this way people will remember, promoters will remember you're actually a DJ, and they will book you more. So I started showing videos of myself playing, and that, helped boosting my social and also boosting the kind of, booking part and all of that.
That's like wicked. Didn't you start as well your vinyl select series, which you do on,
exactly.
on
That's another thing that it came also thanks to the course. So if you see behind me, there is this kind of light. Yeah. And now I have.
I love that light, by the way.
I don't have the because I'm remaking this table. I'm actually getting a custom DJ table. Once it's ready, I'm going to start it again. So I have my turntables and the mixer, and I have created this kind of vinyl pick of the week format, where basically I explore labels that I like, mainly vinyl only labels, or producers that I like. So I would show videos. Of course, now reels are very short, so I would show parts of videos on me performing and playing on vinyl music from these specific labels or specific artists. One thing that I want to say is when it comes to vinyls, I like a lot the vibe from Eastern Europe, like Romanian minimal, that style. So it's mainly that kind of vibe in my vinyl pick of the week series. But I have to say that also helped a lot. Just as an example, I actually started posting about this label called Bondage Music. They are label from Germany, very respected. They released a lot of artists I love, like NTFO, Mihai Popoviciu, like just to name a couple. And the owners are Pornbugs, two guys from Germany, and I had actually built this format of the vinyl pick of the week, tagged them in there, and they follow me. So I was like, oh, they follow me because I made the vinyl pick of the week on Bondage Music. And then I remember I went to Love Fest last year, this festival in Serbia, because I played there. And I saw that Apollonia had all the vinyl bags, and in one of them there was a vinyl from Bondage. So I took a picture and I sent it to Bondage. And then this created a good relationship among us. And then they told me, why don't you send us your demos? And then in a few months later, I released my EP with them also. So now I've released an EP on Bondage Music, thanks to the vinyl pick of the week. If you
That's
think about it.
sick. That's so sick.
Yeah.
Oh my days, I love that. So literally, because you started that content series, then it started the networking, and then it started the kind of connection, then it started the record signed.
Yes.
I flipping love that. Yes. Amazing.
Yeah.
Content wins again. Amazing.
Yeah, it's very important to, to communicate things and to, make. Actually, people like that I'm putting out my recommendations there. Going back to what we were saying about Spotify, with the vinyl pick of the week, I'm making people get to know labels that they would not know otherwise, or producers that maybe are a bit more niche. And I think that, in that respect, I was able to build my very little follower base and the people that, associated me with finding new music. So I would get a lot of, direct messages of people asking me, do you recommend this label? Do you know them? Post about them. And that's how, I created some sort of network after building the content and after also released the music.
That's epic. And it's only what you're doing on the dance. It's like, for me, it's always only what you're doing on the dance floor. When you're playing those records to a whole dance floor, it's only the same. Like you're going, this is the record I like. And and without sort of saying it's on the list label and it's this artist, but it's the same thing. It's like, this is the record I like, and this one, and this one. And you should listen to more of these. And it's the same with social media for me. Right, cool. So then we had that release a year ago. What was else happening around summer last year? What was else going on around then? Did you have more gigs? Did you kind of things then started to pop off a little bit more for you?
Yes, well, in the meantime, things started happening again because of the restrictions of COVID started, going away slowly. Of course, from country to country, things were different. But then it happened that I sent more music to Damian Lazarus. And I think he liked my music because we released an EP that was in March. Yeah, and it went quite well. It was a very diverse EP with very different moods, 3 tracks, very different moods. One of them was also the first track I ever made with one vocalist, Sharon. She's her vocalist name is Shar, and we have already released a few tracks together now. So I also improved from that perspective. Like instead of taking just samples from libraries, I would start working also in the studio with vocalists. So I've seen an improvement there as a producer. So I released another EP on Rebellion called The Burning. That was the lead track. Yeah. And then I sent more music to Damian and he liked everything, luckily. Yeah. So we released another EP last week. Yeah. So that's another EP personal. Yeah. And we just released it last week, and it includes actually 4 tracks. Yeah, so 3 tracks are brand new. Another one is called Mirror and was already included in the Burning EP. And it's a version that I revisited because I wanted to solve a problem that I normally have, that is to open sets. So I built a version that is a set opener version of Mirror, and that hopefully is going to help many DJs when they need to record sets for, I don't know, radio shows or whatever, that they can start slowly, and progressively the track builds up and is ready to be mixed with the next track. So nice. So that's the latest EP. 4 tracks, 3 of them are made with Shar, this vocalist. Yeah, it's a nice sequel to the previous one, Burning, because I'm kind of exploring a few topics that are very dear to me. For example, the topic of identity and women empowerment. I really believe that there are not enough women in electronic music, and especially in minimal music. So for me, it's very important to, to have this kind of understanding for women that you can, be very strong and empowered. And that's a topic that I covered in one of the tracks called The Personal. And then there is another track called You and Me, where I cover the topic of time and space, which is inspired by one of my favorite artists, Italian artist called Franco Battiato. And then I also wanted to have a more of a groovy track, very minimal, called Feel the Groove, which we premiered on Data Transmission.
Yeah, we'll play that in a minute.
So that's again a sequel of my previous EP, and that's something that is very dear to me, this topic of building more gender equality in the industry, not in a sense that you have, just throw women there in the lineup because you need to show more female names, in a real sense that you have more women that enter the industry and they enter the production world. They really are, enter more the industry as it should be. So that's one of the things that I wanted to deliver as a meaning together with my release of the EP.
Amazing. Okay, right. Let's go back to Burning. I'm going to play Burning first, and then we'll carry on this conversation. I'm loving this. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm loving this. It's great fun. Let's play Burning, which was on the EP, the first EP, which came out in March this year, you said. And then we'll get back into this. I hope you enjoy this, gang, in the chat. There we go. Let's give that the rave horn. That was sick. That was sick. That was so good. Love that.
Thank you.
So that came out March last year. And then March 2022, you played for Get Lost in Miami, didn't you? Is that right? And that's one of the biggest parties in Miami, as far as I know. Tell us about that. Tell us about how it happened. Tell us about it all.
So we had a couple of Zoom calls with Damian during the last months, and in one of them we were discussing about music. He, asked me to give him more music, and that's why I'm releasing music with him. And he has invited me also to play at some of the events he's organizing. So I don't know if you're aware that Damian Lazarus is the founder of Day Zero, for example, of Get Lost and Wild is Love, among a lot of other things. So he was organizing Get Lost in Miami, and he basically told me, "Do you want to join?" I said, "Of course, I want to join."
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the first thing where I had the chance to play also in front of him. It went very well. The Get Lost is amazing. It was like an event that lasted 24 hours with amazing artists, and it was really, really my favorite, to be honest, of all the events have been at the Miami Music Week last week. So that was one thing. And then in another call we had, he also told me, I'm actually starting this residency at High Ibiza in the club room of High. In one room there is black coffee on Saturdays, and in the other one I will be responsible for that. So I would like to invite you to come and open and rotate with other 3 artists. So he basically chose me and other 3 emerging artists to set up the vibe for High, and I had to open for big artists like Adam 10 or Bedouin. So I had to make a lot of, yes. I mean, you need to, really set the vibe, but you're not the main guest. So it was really a challenging role, but I think it went well. Because after that, he also invited me to play on Saturday at Coco. And I'm also playing this coming weekend in Dubai with him. And basically things have been happening because of also Damian giving me a lot of opportunities. And as I mentioned before, I also was opening for this kind of experimental type of situation at Leila, which is a restaurant where Damian was hosting his pre-party before High. So I would play there also a more chilled set with a lot of researched music with more deep vibes. I think that also went well. So yeah.
That's mental. Yeah, I've been to Get Lost. I was just going to Get Lost, but I've been to Get Lost. It's mental, and as you say, it's like 24 hours long. The flyer artwork is like, there's so many names on there that it's just like, you're like, whoa. So firstly, congratulations for getting booked to that, because it is a massive party and it's a massive event. So firstly, congratulations.
Yes, and of course, on top of that, I've also been booked with other promoters and other situations. For example, I traveled to Montreal in Canada because these guys heard a set that I think it was a bondage set, by the way, where I included one edit that I made. And they wrote me and they told me, who is this edit from? And I it's mine. So they love my music and they basically booked me and they made me fly all the way to Montreal to play because they like my music. Then I went to India. I did a tour there. And then I played also at a couple of festivals, Exit Festival and Love Fest again in Serbia. And a lot of other gigs here and there, mainly in Italy, Spain, Serbia, Montenegro, a bit, all around Europe. So yeah,
love that. Yeah, okay, that's mental. I love Exit Festival, and when I saw that, I was so happy for you. I love it there. It's an incredible festival. You opened up the dance stage, is that right?
Yeah, there is this big stage called Dance Arena, and I was actually the second. Yes, I mean there were these other Serbian DJs playing, and then there was me, and after me, Brina Knaus. I don't know if you know her. She's a Slovenian DJ, but she's also based in Milan, by the way. Yeah, so that was great. So this year, I have to say I've been playing in the situations where I was responsible for, creating the vibe. But hopefully, as the time progresses, I will move to more guest slots. So it depends also on the situation where you are and how big the situation is.
Did you get to take the family to Serbia? Was that kind of one of those family travel? Did your husband go?
Yeah, Serbian, it's easy to organize. Actually, this summer, my parents-in-law helped me a lot. They have a house in the mountains in Serbia. And so my daughter was mainly spending time with them and the cousin. She has a cousin that is the same age. So for me, it was very easy to travel from there. And I was working remotely from there. So that was... Yes, quite easy. I have to say I've used most of my holidays with my full-time job to travel. Yeah, but it's okay. Yeah.
Thankfully, you've got a really good employer, so that's good.
Exactly. I am very thankful to my employer. And as I mentioned offline to you, I also got my manager that came to listen to me at High 2 weeks ago. And I mean, that's wicked, as you would say.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about High. So you were opening up for some big artists, and right? Am I right thinking when it comes to Ibiza opening parties, they're like the opening opens obviously when the club opens, but that room gets filled quite quickly. So Did you have to kind of change your set? How did you plan that kind of set?
Yes, exactly. That's a great question, because actually the Ushuaia and Hai are basically under the same kind of group. So the way in which it works is that they close Ushuaia and then everyone suddenly moves to Hai and they want to dance more. So the very first set I did, I had prepared it to be more minimal at the beginning, thinking that the place would get filled slowly, but that was not the case, because suddenly, boom, everyone entering from Ushuaia and it got pretty full. So I have, I'm always improvising, but I had to improvise even more there. And I created more of a, clubbing vibe since the beginning. And that's what I have done also in the other gigs. I did 4 gigs in total this summer. And of course, I also had to adapt to the next DJs playing after me. So I built my playlist accordingly. I never follow the playlist, perfectly, but I have a rough type of mood that I want to create. And I've also played a lot of my music, by the way. So that made me happy, to see the reaction to my music.
Was that unsigned stuff? Were you road testing stuff? Were you kind of
mix of things? For example, the very first gig I did at I also, tried the You and Me, which is one of the tracks included in the latest EP on Rebellion. And then, then after me, there were this duo, Ali and Bettina. And after there was Damian. And Damian played Personal, the lead track of Personal. Yes. Nice. And the reaction was amazing. I really got was with goosebumps. And I've always also played it another times Personal in the summer. And then I've also tested new things. For example, I have an unreleased and not signed track called Secrets that I played the last 2 weeks ago at High before Bedouin, because I think it was perfect for setting up, the mood was, at a certain level, and I wanted to smoothly go into the set of Bedouin, and they were playing back to back with Damian. So I think it was really fitting properly. So I just tested it and it worked very well.
That's amazing. Love that. Yeah. That's so good. And I guess are you then obviously you're making, because you've got that massive audience, you then can make content and kind of push those records even more. I remember before you played Get Lost, you jumped back into the weekly group calls from the course, and we chatted about your content and how you were going to kind of how you could basically maximize that exposure. Did that actually help you? And did those those calls help you?
Yeah, I mean, for example, I remember that you gave us this 10 days real challenge. And yes, but I mean, you were right, because TikTok is a thing now. And by the way, please, at least the people who follow me now, follow me on TikTok, because I have 0 followers, like 200. So it would be appreciated if someone would help me.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
No, but TikTok is a thing, and you told us you need to build more reels, like you do the 10 reels challenge. And I don't know if I did 10, but I definitely invested on reels, and it helped a lot, because I saw that I continued growing organically, while a lot of people that have not done reels, even if they have like 150,000 followers, their engagement has gone down massively. So, these kind of tips are super useful. And then some of the tips that you post on your social are very useful for me, also build my self-confidence. Like, don't give up, just, post videos of you playing, even, why not posting even older content and in a different format? So that's something that I've also done. So definitely useful to have that support.
That's great. That's great to hear. Yeah, I feel like people that invested that time with the reels way back are now benefiting it from TikTok. And like we were saying this morning, like our YouTube short game, YouTube shorts are going mental because we've just spent so much time learning reels and then TikTok and then now shorts, basically.
I know shorts.
Yeah, you know shorts well. For those, we didn't really mention this stuff, but Cristina works for Google, so she knows shorts very well. Right, let's play the new record. We'll play the lead track. I know, and I'll definitely play the one that we premiered, but I'll play the lead track first. There we go, gang. Let's give that the rave on. I love that. Sick. Tell you what, gang, you know what? That definitely...
Okay, pass the kick test. I quite like the kick.
Thank you. Definitely passed the kick test. That's sick.
Thank you.
Tell us about this. So this is again, this is the second time you worked with Shar. Tell us about working with Shar. Tell us about working with vocalists. How did you find it?
I found Shar thanks to a workshop that I run by Google. I am a facilitator of this workshop called I'm Remarkable. That it's a free workshop for especially women, but also underrepresented groups to help people gain self-confidence in celebrating your own achievements and talking out loud about your own achievements, which is something that, going back to what we were saying before, is not so easy for women and also underrepresented groups. So Shesaid.So, which is this community of women in music, they started a mentorship program in Italy and Spain back in 2020, and they wanted to run this workshop by Google. So I know the founder of Shesaid.So, Andrea, and she told me, why don't we bring I'm Remarkable to the Italian and the Spanish people from Shesaid.So, and why don't you run the workshop for the Italians? So I ran the workshop for these Italian women in music, and one of them was Sharon. So we met thanks to this workshop. And then she reached out to me after. She told me, oh my God, I love your vibe. I like that you are a DJ and producer. Shall we do something together? So we met for a coffee, and then we decided to start doing music together. And since then, we have been meeting 3 times in different studios. So basically, I would show up with a base of a track, and she would try to kind of, improvise. We would write the lyrics together before. So for example, personal, we were thinking about, again, this idea of women empowerment and this woman that, is out of this relationship and she wants to get rid of the past. And she's like, just don't take it personal. Sorry, I'm done with it, right? So that was the kind of mood. You're the one, but I'm not the one for you. I mean, I'm not the one for you, so just don't take it personal. So she was improvising some lyrics over the base of the music that I made. And then I would go home after and complete the track based on the vocals we had recorded. So that's how we made a few tracks together. And that is one of them.
That's mental. I love that. So that's really great that there's that depth in the track that you like. Is that important to you, taking that much depth into the kind of into this kind of music?
Can I tell you? Yes, because whenever I have a story behind one of the tracks that I made, I see that when I play it, the reaction is much better. I don't know if it's me transmitting the energy with my track because I really believe in it. But when there is this kind of effort that I made also from a storytelling perspective, there is a better reaction in people. I don't know if it's something that is related to me and the energy that I give while playing the music. But I think storytelling is very powerful. And in the way in which we have produced the tracks with Sharon, we created that storytelling. So, I can see the result and how people appreciate.
Does that, because obviously before you were working with vocalists, does that kind of plan sit down? Like, this is the kind of narrative I want with my track for this one. This is the kind of idea. Where does that come in the planning? Or does it kind of, I'm going to get the bass down, then I'll kind of work on the plan?
Yeah, that's something I didn't have before. Before meeting Shar, I didn't have all this level of depth into my tracks. I didn't think so much about the theme that I wanted to cover and the topic, the main topic and the situation I wanted to depict. In that sense, I think that I've improved as a producer, because now as an artist of a painting, maybe you start off initially just by testing things and then eventually you build your identity. I think I've done the same in my production. I built my sound and I built my way of making stories around my music. And I think that works. It's showing that it works.
That's amazing. And and again, this has come from obviously you created this series through Google, and these connections have happened because you've done something external, but then it's kind of pulled into your music life, which is amazing.
Yes, it's been a combination of things, and again the universe working to make things happen.
Are you doing these? Are you doing the Google Unremarkable series again? Is this continuing? Is this going to be?
Workshop, I am a facilitator, but that's one thing that I've had to kind of, remove from my list of things to do now. I'm not facilitating that anymore because it was taking a lot of my time, and it was a volunteering type of work. And now I prefer to focus when it comes to volunteering, I prefer to focus on anything I do for She.Said.So and the parents' side of She.Said.So.
I want to talk about that as well.
Work there, yeah.
So yeah, we've touched on it a bit. Obviously, we talked about your being a parent, and kind of we've talked about that as well a little bit. But let's talk about this kind of balance thing. Obviously, you're working, you're balancing music, you're parenting. Obviously now this summer's been busier still for you. How is that balance happening? How are you still? Is it cool? How's it happening with the children? How's it happening with your daughter?
So it depends on days. There are some periods that are very busy, and I feel like I'm literally gonna, I'm not gonna be able to breathe. But so far, I've been able to managing. I am good with time management, and I have support from, I have a nanny that helps me. I have my auntie; she helps me very often, and I have my parents-in-law that are helping me, especially in the summer. They really take care of Sophia while I am working, and I come and visit them too, and I stay with them in the countryside. So that helps a lot. However, I think that, more has to be done in the industry, and I also need to be better at, prioritizing things and say no to things. So that's one of the things that I want to learn to do moving forward. For example, I have started doing 1 hour of personal training per week because music for me is not an hobby anymore. It's become, a job as well. So I want to take time to distract and take off my brain from, devices. And when I do personal training, it's 1 hour that I don't look at my phone, and that's, helping me to feel better after, not only physically, but also mentally. But yes, I think that currently things are a bit demanding because music is going quite well. And, my job at Google is still very demanding, very flexible, but still very demanding. What I'm doing now is I'm prioritizing on also, on the things that I'm doing. I have had to say to my friends, this is a moment where I need to push on my music career. So, I'm not available for that, weekly dinner as I used to be, because that night of the week I need to focus on production, for example. But I know that my dear friends understand that it's for a reason. So I'm trying to prioritize, and also I'm trying to, to not make myself too busy. I have roughly 3-4 weeks for gigs per month, which is manageable. I don't do crazy touring schedules for the time being. So let's see how that's going to develop. But for now, it's manageable.
That's very cool. Okay. I know that's one of the things I worried about as well. You're saying about your friends, and you had to not go to things, because I definitely worry about that myself. I definitely have not been present with some of my mates, and that's comforting that you're doing the same and had to prioritize stuff. And that's definitely thank you. That's comforting for me as well.
I mean, I'm trying to make the effort for the big things. I was gutted that I couldn't go to the wedding of one friend of mine in September, but I already have 5 weddings between September and October, and I couldn't go to all of them. But I have given up some gigs to be able to go to weddings. So for important things, I'm there, and my friends who know me, they know that if I traveled to Cyprus last week for a wedding alone for 1 day, 2 days of travel for one wedding. And I know that, these people appreciate because they are close friends of mine. So even if I would not attend that happens every week, I'm there for them for the big moments, and I will be there for them if they need me. So these are, I think that intelligent people understand that.
Agreed. So, okay, let's play a second track off this EP, Feel the Groove. So tell us about Feel the Groove.
Yes. So Feel the Groove is different from the other tracks in the EP because it's not made with Shar. However, I like minimal and deep tech type of vibe. So I wanted to also have a track that is a bit less melodic and that goes back to, my roots in that sense. So this track really falls within that sphere, the minimal deep tech vibe. And that's also how it's categorized in Beatport, for example. So it's very minimal, very groovy. There is a strong bass line throughout the track, few elements coming here and there, as always, like these pads, synths, and there is a male voice. So that's a bit different. By the way, I'm looking for a male vocalist for some tracks. So if anyone has any, recommendations, feel free to reach out. This is the vocal from Splice. So it's a library. So again, also when I work with male voices, I would like to do that step forward, moving forward, and collaborate with male vocalists, because I have a lot of ideas also in that sphere. But here you will see that this track is still super groovy, very nice vibe. I think it's great for both warming up, but also for calming down the crowd a bit in the climax of a set, because I like, for example, when I play, to not have constantly tracks that make the crowd go crazy. I like to also alternate with tracks that, make the crowd chill a bit. Otherwise, it's too much. So this is the perfect track for this kind of vibe.
Nice. Let's play this. There we go. Wow, that was great. Obviously, we premiered it. I love that track. So you're still using Ableton? You're still using...
Yes, I have a keyboard. I have a great sound card, the Apollo Twin. I don't know if you know it. Yes, I have Ableton Push. These are the main things that I use at home. Yeah. And honestly, before I had the keyboard, I was going on my piano. I have a digital piano here, and I was going there to try the melodies and then just doing them manually on MIDIs on my Ableton. But yeah, it's pretty basic, but it does the work. I would like to buy some synths, but before doing that, one of my dreams in the next few months is to go to do a kind of an intensive course in this studio in Berlin, which is also called Apollo. They offer like 3 to 4 days tutorials where you go there, you learn everything about hardware. So I would love to do that if I'm able to get organized with my daughter and work. I need to do it in New Year because I don't have many holidays left. But then I would love to do it, and then after I would like to make an upgrade here at home and build a studio, because I just moved to a new apartment, and it's an apartment we bought with my husband, and finally I have a place where I can set up my a home studio. But yeah, so hopefully I'm going to make that happen.
That's very cool. Yeah, you can definitely hear in your music with your kind of that piano background and that kind of piano learning from like a melody and kind of all of that coming into your music. And you can definitely hear that in all the music we've listened to today.
Yes, I mean, as I told you, it's one of the best compliments I'm receiving lately, and I'm receiving it quite often, is that this sounds very Cristina Lazic. Like, people can recognize my style in the tracks I make, which... I don't know how it happened, but slowly I built my identity in music. So that's something that makes me very proud.
That's very, very cool. That's very cool. And do you feel like you've kind of benefited, because this is obviously your third release now on Rebellion. Do you feel like you've benefited from kind of working with the same label and continuously working with the same label? Have the label been helping you continuously grow the sound? And can we speak about that?
Yes. I mean, of course. I mean, again, as you can see, I just throw myself into things without overthinking. That's a bit my approach. But I think that with Damian, we just work very well, because he has really pushed me. He has told me once, I think that people should know you more because you're not known enough and your music is good. And I also recorded a set for him 1 year ago for the Crosstown mix series. And I think he liked it. So that was a decision that I made to, because Damian was giving me this opportunity to always prioritize him and send him my music. And so we've been working together very well. He would give me the exposure. He would give me opportunity to learn. It's been an amazing learning experience for me to play at high, aside from having high, in my DJ CV. I had to study a lot to open for these big DJs. I had to practice a lot. I had to study a lot for Leila and for doing that kind of experimental stuff. Really, really a lot of work I put into that. And so for me, it was a great learning experience. And also the label helped me a lot because apart from the fact that I entered the Crosstown family, they also work very well on the releases. So there is always a solid PR plan. They do, promos very well. And I think that we've been working well together on that. So for me, it was always an improvement. So now I want to produce more tracks that are also maybe on the Crosstown vibe with more vocals, but singing vocals rather than spoken vocals. So that's one of the things that I want to do in the near future.
That's cool. Yeah, I guess you transfer. Is there kind of that movement to transfer over to the bigger label and the main?
That would be a nice upgrade if it eventually happened. I mean, it needs to fit with the label, identity and everything. But if I have some tracks that are in the right mood, why not? Yeah.
And you mentioned there you're doing the podcast for Crosstown, the Crosstown Rebellion podcast. Did you kind of push for that? Was that kind of on your radar and just went?
No. Basically, the Crosstown team, whenever they have new people joining the family, they would ask these DJs and producers to record sets of 1 hour. So I did one set of 1 hour, and again I put a lot of effort in the selection. I really built up. I started very minimal and then I went more into like deep tech vibe, adding, of course, also Leap Year because it was just before the release of Leap Year. And I was quite lucky because Damian had listened and he liked it. So
right. Okay, let's talk about She Said So. We spoke about it earlier, and you've created this. You co-created this parenting platform for She Said So that I'm now part of in a WhatsApp group. Can you tell me about that? Can you tell me about everything you're doing there?
Yes. So basically, just before COVID, Andrea, who is the founder of She Said So, reached out to me. And she told me she was coming to Milan and she wanted to meet me. I was very surprised because I was following She Said So. And when I was living in London, I went to a few events organized by She Said So. And I really admired Andrea so much. I saw her talking on the stage at Fabric for a workshop about women in music. And then I attended a course for like basic coding for females at Shazam offices before Shazam was acquired by Apple, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Andrea reached out and we met for a coffee, and she told me she wanted to make She Said So even more inclusive for parents. And she had found my profile. I don't know how, but she saw that I was that I was a DJ and a mother and working for Google. So we really clicked, and we decided basically to start doing this. So in the last couple of years, I have been working, and I'm not alone. I also have 2 other co-leads that work with me on that, on building a strategy for how we can make the music industry more family friendly. And it's not random that I traveled the last couple of gigs that I did. I was traveling with Sofia, with me, to show that you can actually balance things. It's not easy, but there is still more to do to help people in music, not only artists, but also the team of the artist or people working in music with, supporting them. So the last year, we have built a strategy that we hope to make it happen. Currently, we are looking for a sponsor, but the idea is that of basically helping parents on the well-being side by offering a helpline, 24 hours helpline that parents can call up and receive free support, anything, related to family. Could be financial issues or, relationship issues or struggling with sleep or anything like that. So that's the first thing, helping them on well-being and on giving them support from their perspective. And then also to make research on parents in music, because there is nothing about parenthood in music as of now. So we don't know how many parents in music. Yes, but there is no research that shows, some stats and how important it is to work on the topic of parenthood. I work for Google, and Google is very data-driven company. And we also have the support, like the 24 hours helpline that I mentioned. So these are ideas that I thought I take them for granted, but, in music industry, they don't exist. There is no research and there is no support. And then the third thing is events that currently they're not very family friendly. Some festivals are, but there is a lot to do on the live aspect of music. So in my dream world, one day I will be able to travel and I will have a rider that instead of asking, the best vodka bottle, during the night, because I don't care about getting nice alcohol brands, I can ask childcare support. So, for example, on Friday, I was playing at Coco and I left my daughter in the hotel and I called the nanny that of course, I knew her, but she stayed and slept with her while I was at Coco playing. And I dream of having one day this kind of support from those that are organizing, whether it's, the promoters, festival organizers, that there is normal to ask for help with kids. And I really think that maybe now that's not so much of a problem, but with so many female artists that there are now and are entering the industry, I think that give it 5-10 years and it's going to be a big problem. So I think that something must be done in that sphere as well. So hopefully now it's still early days, but first we want to support on well-being, then we want to support on research, and then eventually with the live and events. So hopefully it's going to become more of a topic to be discussed as diversity is now and as mental health is. I think it's going to get there. So, yeah.
That's great. Like, I've definitely thought it myself, the amount of times that I've gone to things and I've had to kind of balance parenting, daughter, parenting, and like the big one, always the big one for me is always the conference, the conferences. It always goes to conference and all the conferences always fall the week before half term. And you go to the conference and you have 3 days out of conference, and then you come back and you really want to get proactive on all the stuff you spoke about at conference and whatever else. And you come back in and you have to be a parent because you're in half term duty. And you're just like, how do I do this? This is just not even possible, because you come back firstly knackered from conference and then you're in half term. And it seems like every conference is exactly the same. They're always before half term. It's so difficult, let alone like you say, having to DJ and go abroad and take your kid, and what's going to happen with your children. So this is incredible that you are doing this. So thank you, first and foremost.
Hopefully it's going to, reach the level of awareness that I'm hoping. And as I told you, I'm not doing it randomly to show pictures or videos of myself with my daughter traveling with me to gigs, because I would love this to be normalized. Currently it's not.
Yeah, agreed. It's definitely not normalized. And like you say, going to party, the whole thing of obviously going to parties, and I even saw Annie Mac changing her party plans and doing parties that are fitting with her lifestyle now because she's kids and because she's, so it's definitely not normalized at all.
Also, to provide the support to young, artists, like female artists that may want to have kids, but they are very scared of having kids. Like, you need to feel that there is support from the industry, and currently things could be better. So hopefully things are going to change.
That's so true. Like, as the industry pushes for more diversity, like you're saying, there must be that whole nervous thing is I want to be a DJ. I want to be a DJ, but at some point I'm going to want kids as well. And how is that going to happen? So that must be terrifying. Holy moly.
Yes. But hopefully things are going to be different soon.
Okay. Well, if there's anything I can do to help with that, obviously I'd love to be part of that. And I'm obviously, as a parent, I'm like I said, I'm solidly parenting and trying to run business and trying to do everything the same. So any help you need with that?
Don't lie. We're all there in that situation.
Yeah. Anything we can do to shout about or initiatives like that, then please keep me involved, because like I fully back that. Holy moly. MXL says, how can we learn more about the initiative? So there's a WhatsApp group first and foremost that you can be invited to, and that's not just for, because obviously She Said So is female and female identifying only, but the WhatsApp group is all parents. Is that, I'm right? Because I'm in there. So yeah.
Anything that She Said So does it's for everyone. And that's the spirit of inclusion, right? So anyone is welcome. There is a WhatsApp group. To start off this kind of community feeling, we created a WhatsApp group where people can join. So we can send you the invite to join the chat. And then you can join the chat, and there you can ask any questions about anything you have. And you will see that the chat is quite active. And then eventually, hopefully, we'll also kick off more support for parents. So, for example, if you're having a breakdown, as I normally do, around, I don't know, your kid wanted to get dressed in the morning, you can call this line, hopefully, and get 24/7 support. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great. Oh, my God. Okay, should we play another record? Let's play the next track off this EP. Right, tell me about You and Me.
Well, again, You and Me, track made with Shar. As I mentioned earlier, is a track that wanted to explore a different topic, the topic of time and space, because I am a big fan of this artist who sadly passed away last year, Franco Battiato, everyone called him Maestro, an amazing singer-songwriter from Italy. And there is a song that he made that is called No Time, No Space, which is one of my favorite songs. So I love this idea of the space, of the time, and this kind of topic. I wanted to cover it in one of my tracks. So here with Shar, we sat down and we thought about this situation where there are two people that meet in a situation where it's very crowded, but like they feel like it's only, you and me, only the two of them. But the time they have available to, align is very, very limited because they're running out of time. So you will hear that these are some of the lyrics that Shar is mentioning. And in matters of mood, I got inspired to make this track by one producer that I love, who is Traumer. Maybe you know him. He's a French producer. He's very popular in the minimal type of scene. When people ask me what's your style of production, I always say maybe I'm a bit of a female Traumer because he makes all this kind of monotonous track but very groovy. So that's the vibe that I got inspired to make this track.
That's mental.
Now over to you to listen.
Yeah, let's listen to this. Let's play it. Let's go. There we go. A little sneaky of that one. Gang in the chat, if you've got any questions, we've got some questions in the chat. Before we go to those, we've kind of covered your music now. We've covered you. Obviously, we covered that you're a part of my course. If there's anything, I'm just going to ask you if you could kind of sum up how the course was for you and kind of like the main takeaways you got from it and the kind of how it's helped you along the way.
Yeah. So the takeaways are three. One is about the technical stuff. Like I've learned a lot about things that I didn't know. For example, how to build a reel or how to use hip edit or how to submit demos. These are technical skills that I didn't have because I was not in this industry before. Okay, I worked in music publishing, but not as an artist. So the technical part is very important. Then it's the part of the community that you get the support from other people. And that's very, important, the psychological aspect. And then it's that comes also with the psychological aspect, the confidence that you gain. Maybe the first time you post the video or the picture, you don't get much traction, but then you talk with the rest of the group and you see that you're all on the same boat, but then you do the second post and the third post and eventually you get the traction. So that's another thing of believing in yourself and not giving up. So these are the three things: the technical part, the community aspect, and then the kind of motivation and the boosting of confidence. These are the three things I got from the course.
Love it. Thank you so much. Love that. Great, gang. What questions have we got in the chat? Okay, and then I have issues the next day after gig. How do you manage parenting when you're kind of obviously knackered from DJing and kind of even when he said even when he DJs sober, I'm still knackered the next day. How are you managing that?
Okay, because normally if I don't drink, it helps. I just drink Coca-Cola. Yeah, that was my answer actually. Because if I drink now, I'm 36 years old, so I'm quite old. And if I drink, even if I go for a dinner in the middle of the week and I drink 2 cocktails, the day after I am hammered, like disaster. Yeah. So my secret when people ask me is to not drink alcohol. Well, there is a physical tiredness. For example, Saturday, of course, it was me and my husband. He was helping me with our daughter, and she's 6 now, so she's not so little. But then we went to sleep very early, like 10:30 we were sleeping on Saturday. So again, an advice, maybe try to not, get too many gigs one after the other. If you have kids, it may be very demanding. Or try to get organized with help, and then you can travel and do more gigs together. And that's sort of a short tour.
Criscio, do you have any influence over the artwork of your EPs? Yeah, I was thinking that. The artworks are sick for Rebellion.
Yeah. Well, the artwork is decided by the label. So I didn't have any, I could choose between among 3 options, but it's, I can try to find out who is their visual artist.
Very cool. Yeah, I like that. I like the labels are offering kind of multiple choice of which one you prefer. Yeah. I got that from an artist the other day, which was very cool. I think I'm going to have to start doing that with my label as well. Tessie Macaroon was asking about kind of, obviously you've got the WhatsApp group for the She-Said.So parenting. Are you looking to have more expressive formats like Discord so you can have more live and text chat as well, kind of help that kind of growth and that kind of platform grow?
Yes. So currently we're doing things very, very scrappily in a sense that it's just me and other 2 women with kids, with jobs, managing this community. But we are really hoping that if we get a sponsor, which is why we have built this kind of plan and the strategy, also presentation that we are about to start pitching. If we get a sponsor, we would like to have a dedicated resource to take care of all the community management. So that's going to come if things go as we would like to.
Very cool. Okay, that's it. Wicked. Cristina, thank you so much for being here today. And it's so lovely to see you and hear all of your journeys. I mean, man, this has been so much fun.
Thank you. Have a good day and a good week.
Do you struggle with social media? Do you struggle with Instagram? Do you struggle with content? Do you want to work with me and the data transmission team? Well, if you do, my artist blueprint covers exactly that. It covers content, it covers Instagram, it covers growth as DJs and producers on social media. It also covers Spotify, SoundCloud, and getting your music signed to the right label. We all even show you how to get more gigs. Who doesn't want that? If you want to be part of that, and you think that's for you, then it's all about jumping on a discovery call with me. We'll sit online and have a chat about what you're doing now, where you want to get to, and if the bit in the middle is a course, then we'll discuss working together. If you want in on that, click the link below and just jump on a call and have a chat. Thanks for being here with me this week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.